Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT. More drama going down last night, and it's Boostio versus FNS at it again. We are just a couple of days away from 100 Thieves versus NRG elimination game straight out of the Americas kickoff, and it seems that already these guys are beefing things up indeed. Boostio giving some very interesting thoughts on NRG as a team, roasting FNS big time, and then FNS goes on to roast himself. A difficult couple of days for FNS, there's no doubt about it. How is this NRG 100T series going to go? Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Speaking of this like snake stuff, there was this in the game as well. Of course, this caused quite a lot of reaction from many of the pros, obviously, because, you know, pros often call each other snakes if they've maybe snaked their team or snaked their friend or whatever. So there were quite some examples in the replies. Asuna, of course, calling out Bang, snaking 100T to go to Sentinels as just one example. Even we got this, you know, at Chet. Didn't realize they just made a skin for Chet, says Rossi. Insane if I speak. I'm in big trouble. Also, Rossi, of course, interesting just to note, Cloud9, they got rid of him. Keeping an eye on Cloud9 would be a wise thing to do right now in terms of their upcoming results and exactly where Rossi might end up either. There was also some concern about this. So, Scan VCT, it's basically a bot, really. Obviously, there is a guy that actually runs it, but the bot looks at the database, and if there's a change made, the bot will tweet it out. Now, Fluorescent was removed from Apex, and people were like, hang on a second, what's going on here? Like, Floor has just gone to Apex, like, the best player seemingly in their first game they played, although they did kind of get absolutely destroyed, unfortunately for them, and maybe they'll improve over time. But it turned out that Floor in the database was left partially blank, and then the bot like misread it as a removal, so there's an update. So anyway, if you guys saw this yesterday and didn't see the follow-up note, Floor is not gone from Apex, but the team is still not looking maybe ideal. We'll see their matchups again in a couple of seconds, actually, because the EMEA kickoff gets underway again today. This as well, we saw some of these matches, DFM RRQ, Zeta NS, of course, Nongshim, and then T1 PRX. That was, by quite some margin, the most viewed game of the VCT kickoff so far. 374,000 viewers, so that was an absolute banger game. I know there was some talk as well about the, the viewership here in the Americas, for example, because in the first couple of rounds, it's peaked at, 353,000, average viewers at about 200,000. I mean, look, I still think these are pretty damn good numbers, but last year's kickoff did go crazy, at least like in the first couple of rounds. You guys can see that the numbers, hours watched and everything is down pretty significantly, actually, year on year. Why do you guys think that potentially could be? It's obviously a question that Riot and the VCT will have to think about, whether there's other factors in play, and, why maybe there's less hype around the VCT this year than there was previously. Maybe there's other reasons, players like TENS retiring, and not competing anymore, stuff like this, but like the VCT is still a big esports ecosystem, but sometimes it can be a thing that with a certain game, once it's been around for several years, as Valorant now has, maybe there's less excitement around the competitive scene as there previously was. I don't know, tweet your thoughts in the comment section below. Crew versus Loud, though, topped out so far in terms of peak viewership, and there are many big games still to come. Let's talk about China, because there's matches in China every single day right now, and, well, there's a big game currently ongoing. So GI Gaming, they took down Gen.G, so they will move on to play Edward Gaming, right? This is a 2-1. This looked like a close series by the numbers, but actually, after the Pearl 13-9 to Gen.G, it was pretty comfortable for XLG, Bind 13-4, and then Haven 13-6. So comfortably the better team. They advance into playing Edward Gaming, which is coming up very shortly after this video is going to go live, and after this series concludes. This is a big one, really, right? Dragon Ranger Gaming making their losers bracket run. They 2-0'd Tyloo, they 2-0'd Nova Esports, and they may well beat FPX as well. It also goes to show how well Trace Esports are playing, because Trace Esports came in here and they 13-8, 13-7's DRG. They then 13-4'd Edward Gaming. So these guys are cracked right now, and they obviously vanquished Dragon Ranger Gaming, who are now on the verge of making a serious run. Now, they won the Abyss 13-11 on their pick. They lost the Pearl 13-1, absolutely annihilated. But then they're back on the Haven, and they're 3-0 up so far. So, we'll just see who wins this series. Regardless of who wins this series, I'm not expecting the teams to necessarily make it to, Masters Bangkok. But FPX would have been a pretty big favourite to potentially make it before the tournament. And the idea that DRG might come through and get the job done. I mean, look, it's obviously early days here in this final map of the series. But the winner of that plays the winner of Edward and XLG. You're expecting it to be Edward. On paper going into this series, you'd probably think, okay, Edward FPX, maybe Edward Billy, and then, Trace Edward in the finals. Those are the two teams that qualify. That's probably what the bookies will say, but that's not necessarily what, the data may say based on recent performances. Just quickly on EMEA as well, it's back, as I say, as of today, January 22nd. There's 2 more games ongoing. So Foot Esports play Team Liquid, and then Heretics play Gentlemates. So obviously Liquid and Gentlemates, they won their first round games. Foot and Team Heretics will play them respectively. As we know, Apex have dropped down to the loser's side. They will play the loser of Foot Esports and Liquid, based on the way that the bracket should play out anyway. So that's what's next for Fluorescent. And also a bit of drama on the Game Changer scene. So you guys might be aware, of course, the Challengers qualifiers, the closed qualifier for NA, has been ongoing over the last few days, and there were more results yesterday. So we saw that Winthrop and Blue Otter qualified. Yesterday there were 2 games. Funhavers took down Rose, and SR, so the SR Game Changers team, took down the FlyQuest Game Changers team, FlyQuest Red. And again, as we've seen many a time, this was pretty dominant between these two teams. The Pearl was 13-4, the Haven was 13-3. It wasn't close. FlyQuest Red got annihilated, but this isn't in Game Changers, this is in the Challengers qualifiers. So SR are now 1 game away, the Game Changers team, of qualifying for Challengers. That'd be a mega achievement and shows how far many of these players and teams have come over the last few years, and they will play the Funhavers in order to qualify and make that happen. But FlyQuest Red going down in the way that they did was bad news for them, and to such an extent that immediately after the series, they just dropped half their team. Thea, Ev, and Starbound just got kicked out immediately afterwards. And the point is that tomorrow, literally maybe today or tomorrow or something, is the deadline for the Game Changers teams to be submitted, basically. So, yeah, it's a very confusing timing. I know that FlyQuest Red lost an important series and got crushed in that series, but, getting rid of their coach, getting rid of a couple of important players on the team, and, they're all just gone straight out of there, kicked out of the team, and I guess they're going to have to find some sort of valuable replacement over the next couple of days, because otherwise they're not going to have a team going into Game Changers. But I know that there was lots of surprise about this, especially the players, as Frost says here. Imagine cutting your most decorated IGL and one of the better duelists with 24 hours to go until the lock, which is kind of an insane turn of events, but equally they did get crushed by SR again, so I guess they thought, alright, time's come for some sort of change. But if it's happening to this extent, this must have been premeditated, I would say, in some capacity. Let's talk about 100T and what we can expect with NRG, because Sentinels are having a great time watching the fact that 100T and NRG are about to play an elimination game in just a couple of days' time. 100T, by the way, was scrimming Trust in Plug. You guys may remember that they played a tournament, a very brief tournament. They played Trust in Plug in the first round and they lost. And it seems like Trust in Plug still have their number in practice over the last couple of days. But this is the bracket in the Americas, and in a couple of days' time, it's actually, the 25th. So it's the 23rd that Furia and Evil Geniuses get underway. Actually, no, it's the 24th. It's just morning my time on the 25th. So that makes a bit more sense. So 24th, a couple of days, that's when 100T NRG play the final matchup of the lower round 1 side, and it is on paper going to be the best matchup of the lower round 1 side. Now, Boostio is playing NRG, and these guys in a couple of days' time. NRG, of course, losing to Cloud9 in their upper side, which has made all the difference. This was one of the clips of the day. NRG at this point are down 13, or they're down 12-9, on the verge of losing the series. It's a 3 versus 3. Ethan's trying to use his ultimate, of course, and, unlucky, it gets cancelled by FNS shooting him in the head. So, not an ideal one at all. And obviously this was getting clowned at the time. So Boostio has decided, you know what, I'm going to call them out again. What do you call 2 betas, 2 goats, and 1 dementia patient at NRG GG? So first of all, I guess we've got to decide who are, the goats as far as he is concerned, and who are the dementia patients. Well, the dementia patient is obviously referring to FNS, and who are the 2 betas? Because of course, he played with Ethan, won the World Championship with Ethan, so either he's giving him credit, or he's saying, or he's just roasting him. If I had to guess here what Boostio's getting at, I would say that, obviously, FNS is the dementia patient. I think that he's saying probably Ethan and Verno as the betas. They also are last alive in this clip, and then probably Summon Marder as, like, the GOAT. I don't know, but you can probably look at it a couple of ways. I think that even with his respect for Ethan, he probably is calling him a beta here, I don't know. And Boostio is in the reply, actually, yeah, so here we go. Som said, which one am I? And Boostio says, well, you definitely aren't the beta, you've got Verno and Ethan, that's obvious. So thought that was pretty funny. But FNS then was like, alright, I've got to come out and I've got to defend my decision making here, why I shot Ethan in the head and kind of screwed up the rounds. And FNS says, I can explain the enemy had Omen ult too. So, like, FNS was scared because he heard the Omen ult going off and it was like, oh my god, like, this could be the guy, I'm going to go shoot him, and there he goes. So it makes sense in that context of knowing that Omen was there, they had the ultimate, they could use it, understandable why FNS made this mistake. But actually, Omen was dead, and quickly afterwards FNS realised that, because you guys can see that Vic on the Omen, he was out of the round already, so there was no way that he was bringing the ultimate in here, and as FNS says, oh, well, I've been clowned, Omen was actually dead already, my excuse doesn't make any sense, okay, I would just watch party. So, FNS maybe give it up already. It's too early for FNS to give up, come on. I believe that NRG can still make a run here. I don't know that he does as well, but definitely they are ramping the storylines up to 11 over the next couple of days here, because Boostio versus NRG and just 100T versus NRG is going to be a banger. The fact that one of those teams is eliminated immediately is so crazy, and whichever one is eliminated immediately will not be able to play any competitive Valorant for a very long time to come. That may mean that changes are required. It's something to at least think about. So very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.